Good afternoon, good afternoon, good afternoon again, everyone. Welcome to today's final front load and another episode of Spilling Tea. I'm your host, Tiffany Daniels. We're going back to that horrible world known as the JRC. But before we do the usual disclaimers, folks, if you are unfamiliar with the Stop the Shocks campaign or the campaign against the troubled teen industry, you're going to find all the pertinent links right there in the description box. Please, in particular, take note of the article written by NeuroClastic, a small non for profit started by autistics for autistics. In it, they interviewed over 900 ABA professionals in regards to the JRC's so called behavior modification program. The Judge Rotenberg Educational Center doesn't want you to read that article so much. They threatened NeuroClastic with a defamation lawsuit if they did not remove it from the website. NeuroClastic refused, so you know the drill, folks. Please read that article, share it on all your social media. Also included in there is NeuroClastic's public statement regards to the defamation lawsuit threat, as well as a link to their GoFundMe. We are crowdfunding just in case the JRC ever actually does see through with their threat. Trigger warning 1, will we discuss places like the Judge Rotenberg Educational Center or Agape Boarding School for Boys. You're going to hear vivid descriptions of and catch clips of surveillance footage of people with mental health issues and disabled people being tortured and abused. If you got young children present, please use your headphones, all right? Trigger warning 2, this channel is marked not for kids for a reason. We use profanity on occasion and speak on dark subjects. If your child is 16 and younger and they are watching, very obviously parental supervision is advised. All right, kids, where we left off. The FDA disagrees with this characterization of the published accounts, as well as the implication that the previous scientific research cannot be understood in a different way over time. Thank you. What did I just say? What did I just say in my previous video, like only 2 minutes ago? Exactly this. Let's read on, shall we? The FDA considered the cited references in their entirety at the proposed rule stage, including in the context of ethics and treatment options prevailing at the time the research was conducted. Again, what did we just say? Time in regards to medicine matters. You can't throw up decades old research papers and clinical studies and demand that they be given the same weight as a study that just came out yesterday that is under current protocols and has gone under current trials. No, you get what I'm saying, right? You can't hold that up, wave it, and say, but you've got to take this as seriously and give just as much weight to this as you're giving to this other stuff because one is current medical practice, the other is not. It has been, in fact, updated multiple times since those original clinical studies came out. Let's continue to read, shall we? And again, the protocols, where it's bringing that up here, we're talking protocols, fail safes, what clinical studies and trials are literally for. Okay? We note that this comment relies on research from earlier decades. Both references date back to 1975. Holy Mother of God! Are you really telling me Karen over here is waving those papers from 1975 and say, I demand you give them the weight and that they say that there's not that many side effects? Jesus Christ. 1975. Well, before the development of the less invasive behavioral treatments. Literally, folks, person centered planning just finally started to get big and outside the US within the last decade. Okay? There are multiple types of treatment programs out there that are in development every day. If things are done right and a full functional behavioral assessment is done, then a proper referral can be given to get your kid into the right type of treatment program that's going to best suit what the issues are. That's why I preach. Full functional behavioral assessment. Should have it tattooed on my ass, maybe. uh, People would not know what the abbreviation meant, probably. But yes, it is noting that it was not held to the same standards that clinical studies are held to today. Therefore, you're automatically not going to give it as much weight as those that are. 1975. My God. Is there crack in the Kool-Aid they make them drink? After considering these references in light of the then prevailing ethics and conceptions of harm, the FDA is not persuaded that these references speak to modern standards of care regarding positive side effects. Thank you! Because we're going off of today's standards, not the standards of 1975. You're talking about a time period where not just the JRC but other treatment programs essentially had a form of almost waterboarding in autistic, where they would stick a cloth over your face, pull it back tight, and then spray you with water. I shit you not. It was a thing. Okay? That's the time period we're talking about here. And to say that, well, but their ethical standards, it should be the same. It's not. Because this isn't 1975. And what flew then is sure as hell not going to fly now. To even try to make that argument is insane. Because there is a lot of bad science that has been done in the last several decades. Those things that have been proven false by more updated information have been corrected. Where mistakes have been made, you see where I'm going with. Science is always evolving constantly on all fronts. To say that research doesn't have shelf life is ridiculous. Such research should be something that can be used by future folks as to places where not to go, but they're not going to be given in the same weight as a clinical study on current practices that is done within the parameters of a proper clinical study. Okay? It's not going to happen. Let's continue to dissect it here, shall we? Also, yeah, I know we were talking about that time period of ethics as compared to ours currently. And the fact it just hammers it home. We're talking about modern standards of care, not the modern standards of care back in 1975, where everything just started to explode in regards to autism research and the different avenues you can take. I would say that started in the early 2000s and came to a fevered pitch there in the mid 2000s. That's when everything you get person centered planning, positive behavioral reinforcement, you get a mixture of the two, you had a mixture of that with ABA. It was just all over the place, and it still is. And all these have developed for people who, even though we share a diagnosis, are very obviously not affected in the same way. So, those other treatment programs might be better for you than person centered planning, even though it worked for me. That's why full functional behavioral assessments done properly can change everything about your kid's entire existence. So by throwing them in places like this, yeah, yeah, don't. Because places like this are so outdated that they can't even properly defend themselves by producing a current clinical study that backs them up. We're going to close on that. We don't get very many views on this channel. The few we do get, they tend to get removed from time to time. If you could, please don't forget to hit the like button, hit subscribe, and don't forget to hit the comments. I appreciate your time. As always, folks, we here Spilling Tea do hope you have a good one. I'll see y'all next time. Bye-bye now.